The temporary fuel surcharge has been in place for just over 4 months now, and during that period I have given nearly 800 rides. So today we're going to look at my earnings and see how much it has helped. Back on March 11th, Uber introduced what they called temporary fuel assistance, and this was due to the unprecedented spike in gas prices and rising energy costs. The temporary fuel surcharge was implemented on Wednesday, March 16th, and here in Minneapolis and St. Paul, customers pay a 55-cent surcharge on every ride. And this was always meant to be temporary. They did say they planned to evaluate the situation after 60 days, but we're now going on over 120 days since that March 16th date. And the fuel surcharge is still in place for every Uber ride. When they first announced this, I thought it was a really good idea. With fuel prices as high as they've ever been, for me personally to be earning 55 cents per ride, I knew it would be a big help. And again, in the 4 months since the fuel surcharge was implemented, I have given nearly 800 rides. So officially I've given 790 rides. And if you take those 790 rides and multiply that by 55 cents per ride, it's $434.50 in additional earnings, which I was able to calculate that it's a 7.5% increase in my earnings personally. And a way we can analyze that is it costs me personally about $50 per week to fill up my car with on average 11.5 gallons of gas. And a couple things for me, I personally am a Costco member, so I get my gas at Costco. Costco averages about 30 cents cheaper than most gas stations. Also, I personally drive a hybrid vehicle, so my vehicle gets right around 37 miles per gallon. Again, in an average week, I give 50 rides, which equates to $27.50 in fuel surcharge earnings. If we take the $50 per week that gas costs me, subtract the $27.50 in fuel surcharge earnings, and if I just want to equate the fuel surcharge to how it affects my fuel costs, it roughly costs me $22.50 to fill up my tank every week, which in my personal situation, it equates to paying roughly $1.96 per gallon. So I can look at it one of two ways. I am seeing a 7.5% increase in earnings, or like I say, if I equate it just to my fuel savings, I'm paying about $1.96 per gallon of gas. Now another question is, we're offered Quest bonuses every single week. So could Uber have been altering those Quest bonuses throughout this temporary fuel surcharge? I personally have found that my earnings overall, including tips, bonuses, since the fuel charge has been in place, has been right around $30 per hour, and that has held steady week over week. Also, I have found, especially over the last few weeks, my Quest bonuses have been drastically reduced, but I'm still holding steady at that $30 per hour earnings. And yeah, it's not great to see those Quest bonuses being reduced, but as long as my hourly is holding steady at that $30 per hour, that's really all that matters. So overall, for me personally, the fuel surcharge has been a great help. Again, I drive a hybrid vehicle. I also get my gas at Costco. I also live in Minnesota. So the gas prices here in Minnesota compared to say California, which I think in California you're getting 55 cents per ride, and here in Minnesota we're getting 55 cents per ride. That 55 cents per ride here in Minnesota is going to be a lot more effective than in California, where gas prices are quite a bit higher than they are here in Minnesota. Also here in Minneapolis and St. Paul we have upfront fares. So on that accept screen, we see the fare up front. We see what we're going to be getting paid for the ride on the accept screen. And I was noticing that over the first few weeks when the fuel surcharge was implemented, that fares were slightly lower than they were in previous weeks without the fuel surcharge. So the fuel surcharge was affecting those upfront fares. To me, initially, that did not seem right. It's like this fuel surcharge should be in addition, so the fare itself should not be affected. The 55 cents should be in addition to that upfront fare. But Uber has played with the upfront fare algorithm with this fuel surcharge in place. I personally have analyzed my rides. I'm kind of figuring out what I need to do to earn to make a ride worth it. So I personally have a way of accepting those upfront fares. It's typically $1 per mile. If it's $1 per mile, I will accept those fares. My acceptance rate is right around 45%, which isn't great, but I'm only accepting those upfront fares that I feel are worth it. And one thing to think about is this fuel surcharge is temporary. So once the fuel surcharge is gone, how will that affect the upfront fares? Drivers are going to be used to looking at fares at a certain price, and if we start to see that these fares, all of them are going to be 55 cents cheaper, it'll be interesting to see how those upfront fares are affected after the fuel surcharge is removed. So again, overall, it's been a great experience for me personally. My earnings are up 7.5%. But what about you guys? How has the fuel surcharge affected you? What about in other states? States like California, I'm interested. Also, if you don't have a membership at like a Costco, it's really worth it. To save 30 cents per gallon in gas helps a lot, especially at these times. And if you don't want to get that membership, you could just download the Upside app. And with the Upside app, a lot of you will be able to save just by going to the same gas stations that you're currently going to. And if you're interested in downloading Upside, our referral link is in the description, and you will get 35 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill up. Thanks again for watching. Please like, comment, or subscribe and drive safe. Thanks.